Let's move on to Mondi then. It's also a paper and packaging group, recently invested 170 million euros in energy projects across a number of its operations. That's with the aim of achieving 97.5% energy self-sufficiency across its operations. Mondi has a market cap of 26 billion rand and has operations across 28 countries. We're talking about energy. We're talking about the role that energy plays in terms of the bottom line. When you hear about Mondi's targets there, what are your thoughts in terms of them reasonably achieving those targets?
I think so. They've put aside this about 170 million euros for capital expansion in order to reduce their dependency, and I think the target is about 2013. But the interesting thing is that if all goes according to plan, as a byproduct, they could be selling electricity as well if all goes to plan. So
all paper producers, in essence, could be doing that.
Yeah, but I think that they got a good chance of doing. You know, if you've been disappointed with SAPI from an investment point of view, then you've really been rewarded by Mondi. They've had record profits. They've done extremely well. Also reduced their debt.
So what is it about Mondi that is doing so well? How are they managing to outperform? What part of their business has been
I think
so strong?
they've got an exposure, obviously, to emerging markets as well, and about 50% of their revenue comes from emerging markets in places like Eastern Europe and Russia, and then, of course, from South Africa. But they also done very well in generating cash. They've generated significant amounts of cash on the balance sheet. So they are well positioned. There could be, you know, corporate activity on the horizon if the right opportunity came for it. But I just believe that after being in the doldrums for a long time, you know, paper is also a late cyclical play. It comes into being towards the end of the cycle. So I think it's certainly, if you look at their numbers, profits and that cash generation, and we like being invested in companies generating a lot of cash.
Okay, so Paul, Mondi has also been increasing its stakes in terms of corporate action. It recently increased its stakes in Swissi, that over in Switzerland. What are your thoughts on that acquisition and the kind of corporate activity we've seen from the Mondi group?
Look, I like David Hathorn and his management team. They came out of the Anglo group. A lot of their shareholders are ex-Anglo group shareholders. I don't like their capital structure at all. The South African Reserve Bank forced them into that dreadful dual-listed structure similar to Vestact. So in fact, they got these two bits. They are better positioned because they're not so much in the coated wood free, so they're not exposed to the magazine trade and its decline. They're more in packaging, and they've got good, solid access to cheap timber pulp because they have forestry and other assets in emerging world, particularly in Russia and Eastern Europe and then South Africa and so on. So more positive about them. I think the valuation is more reasonable, but I'm afraid it's the same story really. This is an industry that is totally unsexy from a global investor's point of view. It's not one that's associated with high rates of growth. So it's really hard to understand how you would buy them and get excited about them unless there was some kind of crisis going on and you could pick them up at bargain basement price.
Okay,
well, if I could just, to be fair, I hear what Paul says, but you know, a 30% increase in the dividend, and that's pretty good. It's much better than the bank is giving you.
Exactly. So surely there's some investment case for Impact. Impact, hot or not, just below 70 Rand right now.
For Impact?
For Mondi.
For Mondi.
Why am I talking about Impact? Impact is where we're going next.
Mondi, I still think at these levels that the Polish business that they're now acquiring all the balance of the shares, as I said, they're generating good cash flow. It's a very well managed business. As they're achieving record profits. Their last set of results, they were record profits. You've already been rewarded, you know, in sort of year to date, the shares up about 22%. We're at about 3 or 4 times more than the market has been up. So you've already been well rewarded by Mondi this year, but I think that will continue. It still has legs, I believe.
Your view, hot. Your view, I'm guessing it's a not sexy.
Look, it's hotter than SAPI, but not hot enough to get the hot rating from me, no.